Well, there you are. Again, Charlie Greer podcast today. So, stumble down memory lane. Perhaps I will. Before we start this, if you want to support the channel, um, Cash App, Charlie Greer podcast. All the information's in the description. So I use Cash App. Anywho's it. Let's do this. So, stumble down memory lane. Think I shall. What was I going to talk about today? Stumbling down memory lane. Because I I lived an artist life. I don't anymore. I rolled the dice on my creative life. 3 snake eyes. Didn't want to be a normie, a citizen, whatever you want to call it. And a jobber, you know. Tina, hello, Storytime with Charlie. Yes, perhaps, Tina, perhaps. But I didn't want to be a normie. Like, say when I got to Hollywood in like the 90s, like in the don't act like the breakdown in the acting. I was on the Screen Actors Guild. In the acting world, they would actually put it in the breakdowns. Like they call them jobbers. They'd say, hey, you know what the description was for the role, this, and then they say no jobbers. And what that means is someone who's got a 9 to 5 job, because if they get cast, like, well, I might not be able to get off work. They don't want to deal with that. They kick kid, check the rhyme. So another is a doink. Someone who's a doink. It could be a guy, a girl, whatever. And what a doink is someone who claims to be someone, but doesn't have that much with no talent. And they're just, I'm this, that. They can get it. They can be successful. There's some successful doinks. So yeah, a jobber, a doink, and that's nothing to put down people that have a job. You're gonna have a job. Like, pardon me, every once in a while you'd have to take a job like in Hollywood. It's like a waiter or a bartender, or you've had to find some kind of side hustle, which I did, which teaching vocal lessons, selling guitars, flipping cars. I mean, there's just so many opportunities. I mean, you can collect aluminum and make 200 or 300 a day in LA. It's a dirty job. Someone's got to do it. Now it's so lucrative collecting aluminum and plastic and stuff. Well, shit, there's gangs. There's regions where they like, hey man, get away from my alley. You know, because you have to walk down the alley to. But certain people, like I always like to help people out, and I like to share the wealth, if you will. My house was always like the goings on, like people are here and there, basically living. I've had people live on my couch, whatever. And then you're thinking, like, wait a minute, I've never been to your place. Like, you're basically living, you're messing up my apartment or my house, and I've never even been to your fucking house. That was even when I was younger, too. Like, when I had I was living with my mother. It was my mom's house when I was like a teenager. Like, you're always here. Why haven't we ever? Well, nobody's allowed in my house. My dad is. That goes into like life. That goes into like adulthood. And people stealing from you. I was talking to someone today about. They were saying they're taking their kid to a therapist, and so they don't do it at home because they were getting robbed. Like just little things, but like taking their stuff. That's what happened to me with my when I was teaching vocal lessons in Pasadena. I'd have people in my. It was a small apartment. And I wouldn't see them. It was just like everyone's like, wait a minute, where was my shit? And man, shit was just, they were stealing my stuff. One of them stole like a signed book of mine that I really liked. It was worth a lot of money. Damn, they got me. But not everybody is Kid says those old videos of you and Joe really show Charlie's place was an artist oasis. Perhaps. I hope Joe's doing good. Hollywood Joe. Legend. Him and I there's so much video of me and Joe. We used to shoot everything. Hollywood Joe, hands down, the best guitarist I've ever seen. He can play it all. Like I'm talking about like everything. Um, he's a true artist, and he's just he's got a cool vibe. I mean, I hope he's doing good. I love Hollywood Joe. Hollywood Joe lived with me for free. He also worked. My family gave him a job. So I met Hollywood Joe on the street. He was playing at Mangia Italiano in St. Louis. They would play Italian music out there, and we'll feed you and whatever. You know. And I was walking by. I'm like, hey man, we started talking. And I'm a musician too. And then he's like, oh, at the time my grandfather was alive, and everybody knew who he was. And they're like, oh, you're Red Alexander's grandson. Well, all y'all drinking when Charlie says perhaps if I that'd be a funny drinking game to watch back one of my video and drink every time I say perhaps. You're all gonna be ossified drunk. I mean, you want to hear something funny about? Okay, so that's my thing. Perhaps. I mean, that's I anybody that does a podcast, they need to have a little bit. I know it's fake. I get it. It's hacky. But you gotta have something, man. How can I say this? So I was conversing. I'm like, okay, I'll just put it this way. I was conversing with someone, and I don't tell people, like, for one, I've been doing my podcast, and they came back with me like perhaps, and I realized that I was like, shit. Yeah, it kind of threw me off because it's like shouldn't you tell us like, hey, I know you got a great podcast, or none of that, I thought they were I didn't know they knew about. See, that's another thing. So I was kind of like, well, I mean, I know I do it, and I know that the people, but I didn't know they do. I guess they do. But not everything in Hollywood, not everybody's a scumbag, you know. I used to have a lot of people that that were cool. I met a lot of cool people that like helped me out out of the blue, you know. Like in weird situations that you're not asking. And I don't ask. All right. And I was the one when I used to I was had more to give. So I was always I've bought people cars and shit. Gotten them a job, careers. Never get a lot of time. 99% nobody pays you back. They talk shit about you. That's another thing. Why I quit helping people out. Was then they just walk all over your fucking name. But there were times where, like, out of the blue, somebody would be like small things. I was getting headshots one time, and when you're you don't skip on if you're an actor or whatever you are, a band, you don't skimp on your headshots. Spend the money. Make sure that spend a little bit of coin so you can especially if they put their little tag or their badge on the glossy whatever you're going to print up. That gives you a little credit. It's what it is. But you don't want to skimp. And back in the day, you actually had physical headshots, and you staple your resume on the back. Now it's all digital, but you want to have like good headshots. So I was, it's like the '90s, like late '90s. I paid somebody like quite a bit of money to do some headshots. He was a known photographer. I forgot his name. And so, I set it up. I had to wait because this guy was, busy. I think it was like $500. Back then, $500 was more than my rent. But he's known. Then people know him. He's got his little anyway. So, and he was kind of rude. Like, yeah. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are only nice to famous people. And so he's like, okay, yeah, come on, get in here. And they'll say you only have like so many wardrobe changes, And I didn't do that many wardrobe changes anyways. And usually they want you to wear like a fucking nice jacket and a headshot. So he was kind of making fun of anyway, I'm shooting these headshots. It's in like his studio. And somebody comes in and it was I should have Googled the guy's name. He's Dorf. He's the guy that pardon me, he was on the Carol Burnett show, comedian. He did Dorf, the guy, like the short golfer guy. Was it Harvey Korman? No, I think that's the other guy. Anyway, he comes in and he's like, I'm a little early. And he sticks his head in with his manager. He's like, I'm a little early. Is it okay? And the guy's like, yeah. Just come to the studio and sit over there. And then he leaves to go get his stuff and come back in. And when he leaves, the guy's like talking shit about him. Like, oh, that old has been. I go, dude, that's, I love Carol Burnett. He's all, yeah, this guy's jaded, this photographer. And he comes in with like his manager or whatever assistant. I don't know. And he's seeing me and he's like, and the guy must have said something about the jacket I had on. And then he goes, oh, hey, if you don't mind, you want to wear one of mine? I got these nice, like Armani, whatever the fuck they were. I was like, sure. They're like, well, hold on a minute. And he's like, this is fine. Just go ahead and do it. So the dude let me borrow one of his jackets. Now, he was an older gentleman. Didn't quite fit. It was kind of short on the wrist, but man, I look like hey, just little things like that. Like he didn't have to. He was just he was a cool dude. Never saw him again. Just out of the kind of his heart, like, hey, here's this young guy doing some headshots. He's got like $100 blazer on. I've got this $1,000 blazer, a few of them. Let him use one. And he did. His manager, whoever it was, actually was they must have thought I was a comedian too. So I was like, oh yeah, you need to represent. Oh, well, I always need somebody better. And then they find out who I was, and they're like, no. His manager, by the way. So you just never know. Good people out there. I'm sorry, I forgot the guy's name. He played Dorf. If you guys know him. Anyway, those are few and far between, though. They and sometimes opportunities come and then they get snatched from under you for no reason. I was in a movie. I was a security guard. So I'm in wardrobe, I'm a security guard. And they started with two of us. There were two, and I had one line. I think I was like, he went that way, I think. And they set up the shot, and it was just like in a big, like, warehouse or something. So it takes them days just to shoot this little bitty. They got to do this, that, they're seeing the far wide angle. I don't even know. And then it was two of us, me and this other guy playing the security guard. Then he didn't know how to hold it. He was just a doink, I guess. And so they fired him. So it was down to me. Like, look, you're the only one this. And so after a couple of days of shooting, they're walking around and they want to look at people's hands. And I was like, what the hell? And they come, like, let me see your hands. And then, people coming up and people with this before like laptop, with their paperwork and, so I showed them my hands and they took Polaroids or whatever. And then they walk away a couple hours later, like, hey, and I was in the screen actor deals. They're like, look, we want to, you want to make extra money? You want to do this hand shot? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, we took pictures of everybody's hands, your hands, my hands. Okay. Like, it'll be great for this shot. What? Like, yeah, it's a shot for a ticket going through all right. They're like, well, it's a bump, meaning you're going to get a bumped up. It's $5,000 for the, like $5,000. It's like 98 maybe. Yeah, I'll do it, So, but Screen Actors Guild, the union laws, and they have to make me a little section and a better chair. And they actually had to provide me with a little trailer for the day and all this stuff. And I was actually telling, you know what, you don't have to. Like, no, you might turn us in. I mean, you don't want to get in trouble or fined. And so they set all this stuff up. I get there, and they have all these people around. They're like filing my name, all this stuff. And then some producer comes around and is like, Well, no, I don't want him to do it. I want my friend to do it. And they're like, well, we've already the paperwork. Well, no, and I lost it. What the fuck, huh? I don't get to do but they had to pay me for that day. I didn't get the whole, so, it's weird. Why would you even come around hands? What? I don't know. They thought it'd be good for the scene. Crazy world. It's just like that every, if you're living in LA, there were times when I would do up to, you're auditioning a lot. I would do audition after audition, sometimes 2 a week. One year I did like 103 auditions, and then I only got like 3 short films or pilots that nobody's ever going to see this shit, or whatever the hell. Some of them owed money. So you're always auditioning. That 103, that's 2 a week. I was it was called Bad Girl Casting, and I think it was on Melrose. Big lobby. They're casting not just there's a bunch of shit casting. And they have these benches, and it looks all cool, and this, that, and the other. And there's the most beautiful people you've ever seen. And yeah, anyway, you'll see like low-level celebrities doing there. And so I sit down to wait for them to call my name so I can go audition. And I hear this like a dog crying. What the fuck? And I look underneath the bench, and there's a real expensive like purse thing with this dog's head sticking out, like a little chihuahua, I guess it was. So I pull it out, and it's just like, starts wagging his tail, and it was so douchey looking, like leopard and fur, and this thing probably cost $10,000, some kind of designer dog carrier thing. So I set it on my lap, and I'm petting the dog, and people were like, "Oh wow, cute dog." I'm like, "It ain't mine. I found him underneath the the bench." And then the doors come through the doors. This probably one of the best looking women I've ever seen, tall, brunette, my type, Fluffy or whatever the dog's name is. And there you are, lovely. And I guess she had been in an audition, stuffed him underneath there, and left, forgot about little Fluffy, and then drove away, and then Fluffy, and drove back. And she's like, "Thank you." I was literally like, "Dear God." And she looked for me. She might have been somebody. Anyway, that kind of stuff happening all the time, like twice a week. I'm from Tennessee. I went into I heard some arguing, and I was like, please don't let that be because there's offices, and then, people are casting different things. And I was like, please don't let that be my casting person. I've got to go see. And the door opened, and some girl storms out, "Fuck you." And the guy's like, "Don't you ever come back." And then sure enough, it calms down a bit, and you hear Charles Greer, like, oh no. And it was that's where I had to go. And I went in there, and he, I said, "Oh, Charles, I think you're coming. Sit on down. Sorry about that. Oh my God, that girl was from Tennessee. I hate people from Tennessee. I don't know. I'm from Tennessee." So I just didn't say anything. Like, I don't want him to bite my head off. The audition went horrible because I was all nervous now. It's like, does it say I'm from Tennessee I think it does on my IMDb. Is he surfing that up? I don't know. Mostly but quite honestly, some of the funnest days I ever had were audition days, because there's no like stress, and you're all like the what ifs, like an audition, I'll get that, there's no, because once you get the role, then you have to deal with memorizing the lines, these people that are like behind the scenes, the directors and the this and the that. There a lot of times they're not the funnest people to be around. A lot of stress going on. Well, an audition's like, hey, and everybody's all happy about, haven't I got an audition? And I've met friends that that became friends. We met at auditions. Delphi Primetime. Hi, everyone. What's up, Delphi Primetime? Didn't Keegan Klein, didn't he have his, or KK, didn't he have his hearing yesterday? It was yesterday because I put on the Ruckus and Frankmeister. Pardon me, but I got busy and I think it was a 2.5 hour like podcast. I started doing other things. Delphi says KK's dragging his feet. What happened? Did like postpone it or something? Did you see that picture of KK? Fuck. Doesn't he look like central casting, like creepy dude? Life will do that to you. You see, ancient people knew this back in the ancient day. You can lie all you want, but if you start doing creepy stuff, you will morph into, see, nature and the world will give you warnings, like a bee that's got the yellow and black, and that's hey, or snakes that are got all these, frogs that have, fluorescent color. That's a thing. I look at that picture I saw of him. Man, he looks like the creepiest mother. Tina says July 27th is now the sentencing day. Well, what happened yesterday? He wants to take back his plea deal. He's looking svelte. Is that what svelte? He looks like ass. That's what he looks like. So he wants to take back his plea deal. Why would he do that? Tina says he claimed he hadn't seen some new discovery evidence. Didn't he already plead guilty? Delphi Prime said he wants to stay in jail and not go to the big house. Yep. Even in protective custody, man, they will slap on lipstick, Kool-Aid. They're going to put, he don't want to, even the worst of the worst are going to, well, he'll find out. They're going to love him, his big fat ass. He's just delaying the inevitable. Yeah, Delphi Primetime. Yeah, he is. So what was the, so they just show up and his lawyer said, oh, we want to delay. Well, how does that happen? He pled guilty. When I was watching some of the Ruckus and the Frankmeister, they said that Holman, I think his name, like some of the Delphi police were there, or detectives or something. Did you guys hear that too? Is he? Do you think it's connected? I think it's connected. I think he's one of the creepers. Like my last video, he said he's taking back his guilty plea. I think there's like 4 to 7 people in the Delphi that are involved. Some more than others. I mean, what do you guys think? Is he involved? Do you think he shared that? Was he renting his password for like an hour? Then change, like, hey man, give me, cash at me or whatever. Send me some money. I'll give you access to this Anthony Shots account for like an hour. Then I'll change the passcode or what password, whatever it is. Could they be doing that? Is that what happened? I don't think he's involved directly hands-on. That's what I'm saying. Was he one of these creepers that had a business of sharing files, or you could pay him to access a account? I don't know. He's involved. Yeah, that's what I think, Delphi Primetime. He might have been involved like in the beginning, pre-crime. And that's a crime. Yes, probably. Perhaps. Let's leave it at perhaps. Because I'm like a computer idiot. So he must have, these people, they're obsessed with their phones and their tablets and this and texting. And I don't even know these apps. Like for work, I had to download an app, and I'm locked out of it. I don't even what. Today at my bank, they were like, "Well, I'm still locked out of my banking app." Like I was like, "Dude, take it off my phone. Like I don't want it." Delphi Prime, like KK's calling you to leave a message, put some money on his commissary account. Yeah, he's probably calling everybody. I need a new vape. Yeah. I hear that in commissary, you can get like all kinds of shit now. You're in jail. Vapes and Jews and I hear in jail like you need like knit caps and blankets and stuff. It gets cold. I don't know. So yeah, Delphi. I think that he's involved but not hands on. He needs Slim Fast. I don't think Slim Fast is gonna. He just has the look of a guy that has a lot of regrets, but he doesn't. Buddy Rich said, "Did anyone see the new prank pouring gas on cars?" No, I didn't, and I hope that isn't a thing. I did see a guy the other day. I talked about this the other day. Throw a Jack Daniels bottle at a cop, two cops. Why would you want to do that? Why do you want to start shit with cops? I could hear him laugh, ha ha, because they were right. They cut me off. They were right directly in front of me, and the cops like ducked. And I don't know, man. We live in a strange, mysterious world. So he could show up, plead guilty, go to a sentencing, and then, oh no, I'm shifting gears. I want to pull that back because of I didn't know. Is that what it was? They couldn't have any like video or anything in the. Was there anybody there? Is there? I gotta watch some other shit about this. It's a weekend, so I'll catch up on that. But wasn't he again? Like he was like outside a cousin's house using their Wi-Fi to do weird stuff as the crime was going on. I mean, and he. This is a strange case. And again, I'm not a true crime podcaster. I'm fascinated with the Delphi. I always say that, Delphi Primetime. I like California cop videos. They shoot up a lot of knifey, Frito, Banditos. Well, there's two. Okay, so the California cops, the LAPD, like they're in black. Well, you don't want to mess with them either. But it's the sheriff deputies, the guys that are in OD green, that you don't want to mess with. Okay. When the cops come to your door, you can talk to them. When the sheriffs come to your door, well, you don't want to fuck around and find out. I've told this story, but I left a burning car on the highway, and they found me. I ran, and then a couple days later, were at my house, and they let me go. But I had to I lost my license for a year, and I had to pay a fine. The car burnt with just enough of everything didn't burn in the trunk or something. They found like some info to come find me because I had bought a car. I hate to admit this, but I didn't register it or get insurance. I just bought it. I only had it like 7 days. I had it. So I was waiting until I got paid. I only got paid every 2 weeks. I wasn't trying to, and this fucking thing, I bought it and it caught on fire as I'm driving down the 5 or whatever in Burbank. I've told the story, and I had to run through the traffic, LA traffic, almost like jump a wall, run the other side of the traffic, jump another wall, and I ended up in like Hollywood Forever or one of those big Hollywood graveyards. And I called my girlfriend, and she sent her sister. and they had cameras in the graveyard, and they were chasing me in this golf cart, and her sister showed up, and I got out of there. But they found me, and I lost my license. It was out of a movie. A car pulled. I didn't even know I was on fire. A car pulled up beside me, and they were screaming. I rolled down my window like, "You're on fire!" I mean, it was stupid. It was a Mazda 626. I think I bought it for like $700 on Figueroa in LA, and you're like downtown Figueroa. They have like all this street merchant stuff, and there's one on the week they'll have like cars you can buy. And I bought a car on the cheap. I thought it would run. Nah, it caught on fire. And then the deputies showed up, the guys in the green, and they, Charles, banging on my door. I come out. They actually cuffed me on my porch. And then I was on. Once you're okay, you got the drop on you. Don't lie. Don't snitch, but don't lie. It's like, okay, yeah. I told them the story. I said, look, I bought this car. Only had 7 days. And they'd already talked to the guy because see, they went for the guy. It was still in his name. And so the story rang true. It was true. I didn't burn it. I didn't set it on fire. I happened to be the poor bastard that, So they actually, thank you for being honest with this. They said this, like, thank you. We hear so much shit that we're not going to take you downtown. But here's your ticket and fine, whatever. You got a court date. They take my license and punch a hole in it. And it's good for an ID for like 30 days or 90 days, whatever. And then so I went down to court, and then I lost my license for a year, and I had to pay I forgot how many thousands of dollars. Couldn't drive for a year. And I had gigs and art shows. Yeah, try doing, my drummer drive me around and everything. It's crazy. Good times though. Shit, I had a lot of fun. But and I'm not proud. I'm not bragging. I mean, I know it's stupid this. Leaving a car on the 5 and running across 4 or 5 lanes of traffic, and then jumping that friggin' concrete wall, and then having to go the other side. It's like Frogger. And then jump on another wall and landing in a graveyard. I'm hiding behind like Cecil B. DeMille, big, mausoleum thing. And yeah, I had to take the train. Well, it's pretty good in LA. They got trains, and there's some that are above ground and some go below ground. Not too many buses, but a few buses. But yeah, for a year, I couldn't drive. Sucked. Oh, and my girlfriend broke up with me because I called her at work. She's like, I can't come get you. I'm at work. Help me. I'll send my sister. And her sister actually came and she did me a solid. She's like, where you at in the graveyard? I had like one of my first cell phones. I'm like, I don't know. I'm by the big grave. They're all big graves. I was like, just drive around until you see me. And there's cameras in there. And then I could see the guys with the golf carts were coming. And I'm running and hiding. And I ran into and we got away. Girlfriend's demands car. This was Buddy Rich. Yes. Yes. And she was kind of highfalutin and, had a good job. You know what I mean? What are you going to be telling your friends? Well, what happened to you today? Well, my boyfriend, his car caught on fire and he ran from the cops and we had to go pick him up in the graveyard. That's dumb. But you know what? I hate to say it, I miss those kind of wild days. I'm lucky to be alive. I could have been hit by those and honk it, I just got scared when I saw the cops. I just took off. I'm surprised they didn't shoot me. Because I'd have been better off if I didn't have insurance. I didn't have it registered. I had a license. But you live and learn. I'm a dumbass. What are you going to do? Jeff Jones. Hey. What's up, Jeff? Thank you, Jeff Jones. Jeff Just tell them you were looking for Fatty Arbuckle's grave. Fatty Arbuckle. Okay, you guys know who Fatty Arbuckle was? Maybe not. Old school, like silent film star. Supposedly he killed somebody. Who knows? Perhaps he did. I got a Fatty Arbuckle. So in '99, I got an agency, or I got a rep, and they were doing a Fatty Arbuckle biopic, like a movie. It was in pre-production, and they were spending a fortune on this thing. It was all this, that, and the other. I wasn't up for the Fatty Arbuckle role, but I was up for something in the Fatty Arbuckle movie, and it fell through. I callbacks. I thought I'd gotten the role, and actually they promised me the role, but then the movie never went to production. It's a sad story about Fatty Arbuckle. He was the first actor to get like $1 million a movie, and back in the silent film, that's a ton of money. And you could get like a steak dinner for a nickel back then or something. Fatty Arbuckle, Delphi Prime says KK's 20. Yes, KK would be a great stand-in for that. Poor Fatty Arbuckle. Supposedly he was set up. I don't know. That's a weird story about. Look it up. Google Fatty Arbuckle. But yeah. So the silent film people made more money than modern actors, if you can believe that. Because $1 million in like the Depression or the 20s was like what? I don't even know. And they could shoot those movies in like a week, and he could do like 20 of them, 20 a year. Fatty Arbuckle, hey, But he was a silent film. I mean, that's how long before talkies they called them. And you can believe this. Hollywood was like, talkie, see, talking on film, that'll never go. See, I'm staying with silent films. Yeah, right. Time marked is on, man. Technology. Yeah, Fatty. Okay, so I was I might have told this story. Yeah, Jeff Jones, $1 million back then was like 200 million. Seriously, $1 million during the Depression, during the 20s. Yeah. So I was doing callback. So you do an audition, and this is for the Fatty Arbuckle movie that never came about. But you do an audition, they like you, then you do what's called a callback. They want to see you. You might even they might want to see in wardrobe, and you get paid. You get paid a half a day. I love wardrobe days because you go. It's only like 3 or 4 hours. You get paid like $700. Yeah, give them all every day. I'll go. So I was up for this role in fucking Fatty Arbuckle's movie, and then I was working on something else, and then I was asked to be a stand-in for Alec Baldwin. And it was like a 6-week gig, and I think they're going to give me like 40 grand in 6 weeks to be a stand-in. What a stand-in is, you dress exactly like the star, because I actually had the same dimensions as him, the same height, this, that, the other, whatever. You stand in the spot where they set the lighting and this, that, and the other. So the actor ain't going to stand there. You have to, your poor ass has to stand there, and then when they're ready to shoot, you get out and they shoot. So I said, yeah. Fucking 40 grand in 6 weeks. Fuck yeah. And Alec Baldwin at the time was a big star. So I called my agent. She's like, oh no, I don't represent stand-ins. And I called my mother. She's like, man, you'll get another agent. Tell her to go fuck herself. Take that 40 grand. I was like, well, I'm up for this Fatty Arbuckle role. It might. No, she take it. So one of the biggest regrets I've ever made. I have a regret. I said no. I followed my agent's advice. Didn't do the Fatty Arbuckle. I mean, I didn't do the Alec Baldwin stand-in, which I forgot what movie it was. And then they were pissed. They're like, "We don't think we're going to ask you again." So, because my agent, like, I don't represent stand-ins. You're up for this Fatty Arbuckle role. You could be like that. So fine. Like a week later, my agent calls me. She's like, "Hey, I want to stir up some money. I want to redo the carpet in the agency or something. You should do that stand-in work." I go, it was already. Oh, and she told me that if I took the stand-in work, she'd drop me. I don't represent stand-ins. I won't represent you. That's why I didn't do it. So I didn't. She calls me up a week later. Take the stand-in work. I need some money because she took like 20% of my. I said they won't give it. You told me not to do it. You dropped me. And she's like, well, don't listen to what I say. I might have drank too much coffee that day. And then she dropped me. So that's a kick in the nuts. Didn't do it. Lost on both of the gigs, basically. Regrets. And stand-ins usually are brought along. If Alec liked me, he might have used me for other movies. A lot of people have used stand-ins like for decades. You make good money as a stand-in. I mean, you might make it's a daily rate, a union rate, which I think was $1,250 a day, $1,250 a day. Well, if you work 6 months on, you do the math. It's shit. These people buy houses doing that shit. Yeah, Jeff Jones, WTF. That's what I'm saying, man. You got to follow your gut. I should have listened to my mother. Regrets. What are you going to do? You live and learn. Yeah, good time. But at least I I had friends and roommates that moved to LA and never got in the Screen Actors Guild. Bless their heart. Never. They didn't have the drive I had. They didn't have the gumption and you got to go grab life by the taint. You just got to, get and yawn. I'm getting mine. So that's what you have to be like, shit. Delphi Primetime. I used to teach girls how to sing in the shower. That's a good gig. Jeff Jones. Yeah, you got to play it the way you feel it at the time. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Thanks for the Cash App too, Jeff Jones. I appreciate it. You're an old school though. I really do. You do. You have to because again, I'm not doing any kind of creative anything. I'm barely playing my guitar. Matter of fact, I'm inactive in the union, the Screen Actors Guild. So yeah, I had to file paperwork. So I'm technically in the union. I'm just not, because it's expensive now. I think it's like, last time I checked, it was like 100 every 6 months to be in the union dues. I'm not going to pay that if I'm not doing anything. And you have to make them. I think it's like $36,000 a year before your benefits kick in. Well, fuck you. If you're not making any money, you're not getting any benefits. Why be in the union? The union is messed up now too. They used to cover mental health issues, and everybody in LA has mental health issues. Every actor, there's something a little cuckoo, Why don't we don't cover that anymore? Well, shit. I mean, the writers still striking? I think they are. They do that about every 5 to 10 years, The writers don't get, I'm not in the Writers Guild. I've been in the guild because I have like copyrights on some scripts and my book and this, that, and the other thing. But it's on used to be on, is it Sunset? The Writers Guild? It's a nice big building. It's nice in there. I've had friends that were like good, that made a living writing and shit. It's tough. It's tough. People steal. There's a lot of people will steal your intellectual property, if you will, what you write, change a little bit here and there, and then you don't want to know. That's why I quit writing scripts. How I actually went out to Hollywood was, I was acting, but I also wrote some scripts. I got a lawyer when I was living in St. Louis, and then I moved to LA. But I had one of my scripts had won. I got second runner up a couple times at the Houston World Fest I don't know if that's still going on, but that was a big film festival. I got second runner up in a uh, shit, I forgot what it was. And then the Nickel Fellowship, which is like the Oscars thing. One of my scripts got a second runner up. That's how I got asked to, fuck. It's brutal. I first went to LA in like 96 to pitch one of my scripts, and then they didn't go well. And then it took me another 2 years to have the guts to move out there and just kind of buckle down. And I'd never been. Hollywood's a different beast. I was living in St. Louis, which is a city. Then I moved to Hollywood, and I only knew one person out there. Fuck. Well, you try it. I mean, shit. For one, just to learn to get around. This before the I forgot the guide. There was like this big thick thing, and there was these codes like D14, and they'd give you these codes to find out where you're going, and you had to navigate. You had to be fucking like Magellan and just to know the highways. We'll take the 101 to the 5 to the 134 to the 2 to the what? You're halfway there. Then you want to get on the 405. Then I don't. Where am I at? You know. And all that, you fucking shit. The 405 is the worst highway. But the bloody 405, they call it. And it's just stop and go. And it goes from the valley all the way to, I think, San Diego. Fuck, it might go to Mexico. Who knows? And of course, you're always on the 4. You got to. I broke down. My car was overheating, like the thermostat went out. And I got off an exit off the 405, and I ended up in what was that part of town? Not Beverly Hills, but it's this little area. They do all these premieres. So as soon as you get right out, you're in this nice little area on the street. And there's all these like old looking theaters and lights and that, you know. And I my car, and I'm stuck on this nice street right off an exit, steaming, you know. And a woman comes across the street from some nice, because there's like clothing store. And she's like, you can't break down here. This is whatever town. I was like, hey, what? And the cops pull up, and they scolded her. She was throwing a fit. She's like a Karen. Like, you're not allowed to break down here. I was like, hey man, he couldn't. I was like, yeah, I didn't know what I was gonna break down. Like, I'm gonna choose a place to break down. Shit. What is that little? There's all these little pockets. Fuck, what is that? I don't know. I never went there because it's just where they do all the premieres and stuff. It's who can afford to live there? Not me. And fuck her. Then I got to call roommate. Hey, I'm broke down. You gotta just see. And I was coming back from a henna gig. I used to do henna tattooing, and henna is like this paste made out of, I don't even know what kind of plant. It's actually Indian. They do it for weddings, but in the early 2000s, it was a thing, you know. And I worked for this company that would send me out to, I used to do movie premieres and bat mitzvahs, bar mitzvahs, beignets, parties, this, that, and the other. And I draw on people. And what you do is you use this paste. You know, I'm an artist, so it's a tattoo, whatever they want. And then it's wet. So you have to use a hair dryer, and it reacts with your body heat. And it takes about a day, you know, so you have to keep it on until it dries. And once it dries, flake it off. If you smear it, it'll look like a smear. So you got to be careful with it. Don't touch it. And then you've got this brown tattoo, a henna tattoo, for like 2 weeks, a month or something. I used to sleeve people out, do back pieces. I mean, $75 an hour. Hey, yeah, good money. I only worked on the weekends though. I did the Julia Roberts film, America's Sweetheart. I did henna at that. I did Rob Schneider that night. He was a cool guy. I met Eddie Van Halen that night, and Valerie Bertinelli. A lot of kids, you know, a lot of like, who knows? Because I would have this, you don't want to give them too many options when you're doing that. So I had this like sheet and it was stapled together. There's 2 pages, and you could pick the, a flower, a Superman, a Mickey Mouse. You didn't want to be Tim Conway. Thank you. Tim Conway was the guy that let me borrow a jacket at a student when I was doing a headshot. Cool dude, man. Thank you, Tim Conway. Great guy. Who would do that? He was so funny too. As I was hanging out, he was waiting to do. And I was asking about Dorf. He's like, "Oh man, that's money in the bank." Jack was a little small on me, but you can't see your arms. And I kind of sat like sideways. Hey. One of these days, I'll pull out. I've saved a lot of headshots over the years. Like you take them every 6 months. I'll pull out some. I'll do a headshot, you know, podcast. You'll see me. Yeah. Some of my early ones, I look like a weatherman. Like, hey, here I am. And then literally at the end, I literally would wear like a tank top, like a wife beater with my tats hanging out, and I was just looking mean because I was the heavy. The heavy's like the bad guy. Oh hell, I got more auditions doing that. You have to typecast yourself. I never was a leading dude either. Look at me. I was like a character actor or like third, fourth, fifth. Yeah, I ain't gonna be like a lead in a movie. I knew that right off the bat. I mean, I know, but there's work to be. Tim Conway, bless his heart, man. Didn't have to do that. Saw me in there. Maybe the guy made fun of my jacket because he was being kind of an asshole. He was like, "Why don't you use one of mine?" And this is the thing. And I've had wardrobe people be cool to me too. And sometimes these wardrobe people, how they get paid is they get to keep the clothes. A lot of the like top wardrobe people. And I always hung out, say when you're working on something, there's a lot of downtime. You don't want to be in holding or where they sit you. If you're lucky, you got like a little fucking porta john with a stool in it or something. No, I would hang out with the wardrobe and the like union electrical, whatever they are, guys that are wiring shit up, and they've got like these big, it looks like semis, and they literally the ones they hang out in will have like well, they're playing poker in there. I was always wardrobe of the funnest. They're funny people, man. They're like, they're so the wardrobe people. So on a fitting, like say you got like you'd go to a fitting, like so say you get cast in I was in the union, I was in the SAG. So I love fitting because you get paid a half a day. So $12.50, what is that? $625 or something to fucking go get fitted. You got half your, sometimes you might have multiple days to, and one day I went to, it was at Sony and in Culver City. And Sony used to be, I forgot the name of it's Sony now, but it used to be like an old school. Anyway, I had a fitting and all the guys, we're all getting fitted and we're all like, yeah, it's a fitting day. Like it's a good day because it's no stress. You don't have to memorize anything and so we get in there and there's these wardrobe dudes and they're funny. I mean, you know what? They're busting your balls. I get it. I'm not taking anything. Oh, you guys. Okay, fine. Strip down. They take. And you're looking around like, strip down. You're like, what? Might be 10 guys. Yeah, to your underwear. And they're coming around with like tape. You know what I mean? They're doing anyway. They're with these little like pads with pins and so I started taking it down. Then I opened my pants and I realized I had these. Okay, it's embarrassing, but I had like some bad underwear on. Like they had hole, like the side of it was away from the elastic. I was like, oh fuck. So I pulled and they're like, no, go, come on. And I said, fuck it, and I pulled my pants down and the wardrobe guys are like, oh yeah, they're going to love you. We're those. Oh yeah. No. That's all you need, and I was laughing my ass off. And then they started laughing, like, you get it. Like, you're not mad, are you? I was like, no, I think it's funny. So like, we like you. That's how I got the stand-in thing for the referral for Alec Baldwin. I was hanging out with these wardrobe people at some gig. I don't know what I was on, some shoot, and they liked me. And the one was like, "Hey, we're looking for a stand-in for Alec Baldwin. You'd be great. You got the same measurements. I'll refer you." That's another thing, man. You gotta have some personality. You gotta have some, panache. You can't, just be all scared to be yourself. Fuck that. I always loved the wardrobe people. Sometimes they would give you clothes. Sometimes they'd give you clothes, and then somebody else would hear about it and they'd want it back. I was I think it's called the Muse. I was a stand-in, so I'm making like 12. No, what was it? Yeah, it's about $12.50 a day. So in this scene, it was shot at Spago, which was Wolfgang Puck. He used to be like a famous chef. So in the Muse, it was Albert Brooks, Sharon Stone. God, who else? So in the scene I'm in, I'm playing this executive. And if you watch that movie, when they're in the scene where they're at Wolfgang Puck's, I'm the dude in the nice suit. You barely see my face, all the cuts, and they're doing and it's Albert Brooks, Sharon Stone. So I spent like a week hanging out with Albert Brooks and Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone is a really cool person. And the funny thing is, they were, this was the 90s, so she was kind of popping. Well, yeah, she's a huge star. Albert Brooks wouldn't talk to anybody, and he would cry on a whim. He just was emotional. I like Albert Brooks. I mean, he wasn't rude to me, but the set people, the director, the line producers, whatever the fuck, they're like, "Oh, Sharon Stone, that bitch," and I was like thinking, "Oh man, I don't want to be around. Should I even look at her? Like, don't talk to her. Don't even look at her." Well, she was cool. She was normal. She was like a real person. It was these other people that were fucking assholes. That's another. They're complaining about people being assholes, and these people show up and they're not. They are. They're projecting onto other people what they are. Sharon Stone was awesome. One day we were shooting in Spago, and we had a break, and we for lunch, and Wolfgang was like, "Well, hell, we're in my restaurant. I'll cook for you guys. You guys want salmon pizzas?" So there was only like 5 or 6 of it. So I was the stand-in. There was maybe another one. Then it was like Sharon Stone, Albert Brooks. There was a couple other stars, and we went into this kitchen area, or actually a dining room. And Wolfgang Puck, he's like in wooden clogs. Made us some of the best food I've ever eaten. I'm eating with like fucking Sharon Stone, and she's cool. She's like bumming cigarettes from me, and she's a really good person. I remember this. What she was like, the bathroom's right around the corner, right? Like in the restaurant. She's like, "I'm just going to use this bathroom," because they're like, "Oh no, Mrs. You have to go to your private," because they gave them these huge, like, they're called Star Wagons, but they're basically like an RV or a trailer. She's like, "No, I don't want to walk that far. I'm just going to go." And her handlers are like, "Oh, you can't be." She's like, "Man, go fuck yourself." That's what I mean. She was really nice to me. So was Albert Brooks. I mean, I did see him like cry though. Like, oh, and he was like on him. He was like having like a momentary lapse of reason, kind of. I'm not good enough. I'm not. They had to like bring him back up. I think he's a genius. But Sharon, like well, shit. I mean, we're smoking cigarettes, and she's asking about, who are you? What are you about? I'm a nobody. She's like, I used to be too. Yeah, shit. Keep in. Also, here's the thing. I picked up early on when people remember your name or even ask your name. Because as an actor, I was like Charles Greer, but I'm like, oh, call me Charlie, because everybody called me Charlie. She would remember my name, so she'd be like, "Hey, Charlie." Nobody. Uh, so what's your face? Dude, whoever, whatever they're gonna say. Albert Brooks never talked to me hardly, and Sharon was like, this is I thought we were gonna be like, wow, I met Sharon Stone. She's a friend. I never saw her. It is fake. I mean, she wasn't hitting on me. She was just like, hey, I was there too. I struggled, There are good people, they work their fucking asses off. People think that and the shit they have to deal with and the stress and the this and that and the other thing is like fucking hell. And she'd walk away and they're like, bitch. It's like, you guys are the bitches. You guys are the ones that talk. She's been nice. I don't know why they do that. I have no idea why they would. Tina said Keegan just fired his attorney for real. It was just filed. No way. Really? What do you think that's all about, Tina? So that means that'll give him more time to lollygag and man, this is being dragged on. This whole Delphi thing, it's just like, oh my god, when was it prolonged sentence? Yeah, now they got to give him more time to forget about this. When it was July, I forget that, man. That's what I mean, man. I said it one of the, if you watch my Delphi videos, I said this was going to happen. They're going to pull it along, drag it out, this, that, and the other. Man. Man, oh man, oh man. Who's paying for his attorney? I know that they have to supply an attorney to you. He already pled guilty. I don't get this. Ruckus would know more about this. Is he going to be live or something? Because quite honestly, I was watching Ruckus and Frank Meister, and it just went on forever. I listened to it as I was doing other things, and was anybody at the courthouse? I mean, I have to find somebody who was at the courthouse. That's sad. Pray for Abby and Libby. Shit. And their families and law enforcement and his fired attorney and the prosecutor and all that. Brutal. Do you guys think that he's involved? KK? And if so, how? Do tell. I think he is. But I think there's levels to the involvement. I have a feeling he was sharing files and sharing or renting or selling access to this account. Just see Anthony Schutz again. That's what I think. I think he got it wrapped up to some shit. Was like, oh, what the fuck? These motherfuckers, Could he have been like, say, hey, man, and he probably made no money. Like, give me like $100, $300 for an hour. I'll let you access this account. Then I'm going to change the password. He shared Dropbox accounts. That's what I'm saying. Did he get money for that? You just don't, or they just shared because they're a bunch of pervs. I don't know. I would never see, man. People's thoughts patterns and their sexuality is just dark and scary. I'm into relationships and shit. What the fuck? You got to love yourself before you can. I don't know. That's why I'm not a true crime podcast guy, because I can't dawn on all this dark ass shit. I don't get it. Jeff Jones said it's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say. Shit, this is like a Rubik's Cube. It's like the JFK assassination or something. Fuck. So in my thought pattern, it's like, okay, KK using the Anthony Shots account and drop boxes, renting out access, hour, whatever it was, overnight, who knows, right? X amount of dollars. Oh, give me money, send me that. And it's probably routine to him, like, yeah, okay, whatever. He sent it, he lets the wrong dude, uh what RA, and then that shit happened. Then he's like, what the fuck? So he is technically involved, but he didn't have anything to do with the murder. He just was doing his creepy ass shit. Is that what happened? What do you guys think? Could he have? I hate to laugh, but fuck. Hell. Yeah, Jeff Jones says, yeah, me too. Did he just like, well, pardon me. Yeah, you can't take me anywhere. I'm sorry, I burp. I realize how. So every time I do this, my podcast, I lose subscribers. I get it. I'm burping. I'm drinking. I'm smoking. I'm cursing. Yeah. What are you gonna do? I gotta be myself. That's like being a driver for a bank robber. Yeah. Well, read Keith Richards' book. So Jeff Jones sounds like any scenario with KK is likely. Yeah, that's what I think. Kind of, perhaps, speculation, assumption. Maybe he did that. He had access to Dropbox's accounts. This whatever Anthony Shots. He'd rent it for an hour or maybe overnight. Give me. I'm sure it wasn't that much money, man. $100, maybe. Give me $100. You can have it for because he'd done it. People just want to. I don't know. And he rented it to the wrong dude. He bought the ticket. Now he has to take this ride. So now he has to backtrack. What the fuck, The catfisher got catfish kind of thing. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, his sorry ass. They all need to go down. Again, I think there's more people. Law enforcement kind of hinted around too that there is. I think so. And now they're prolonging this. Tina says he fired his attorney. Jeff says there has to be more people, of course. Like pre-crime. What they were doing was a crime. But pertaining to a murder, that's what I'm saying. Even afterwards, was there something kind of, I don't know. Could be. Could be. More likely, yeah. I think that KK's involved. I think his father might have been involved, but not like the murder. I think, pre-crime. The cousin, the this, the best friend, the whoever the hell. They might be all CIs now. I don't know. Well, that's what happens. That's how you solve crime. You got to have people, confidential informants. I mean, you have to, put the heat on people. It's sad. I mean, those poor girls. And now there's people like making bank off this case. It's like an industry. That I don't like that. I wouldn't doubt it. Jeff Jones says, I wouldn't doubt it that Trexler is a CI. Yeah, I bet he is too. He's probably singing like a bird, making shit up. Probably, just leave me alone. With all this drive and gumption people have, can't they do something normal? If they applied themselves like normally, wouldn't they do something? Go get a job or write poetry. Who knows? Just do something besides, is it that? I mean, I don't get it, man. There's different people. People have mental illness. People are like evil, if you will. Downright evil, man. Scary. He looks to me when I saw his look, his whole. Man, I don't want to judge people by how they look, but come on, man. Use your intuition, use your gut feeling. Come on. Haven't you lived any life? Shit, you don't want to be around some people. I don't know. That's disappointing to hear that he, retracted my guilty, and then I fired my. That's gonna take forever. When I was watching Ruckus and Frank Meister on Ruckus's channel, they said that like every time Richard Allen files paperwork, next thing is Keegan Klein, and vice versa. Keegan Klein filed, and Richard Allen. Something is going on. I didn't know that until I watched it. It's like, well, there you go. There's and then there could be some other stuff going on. Is there a bigger sting? I have a feeling there's a bigger sting in that area, because that Anthony Schutz account, they admitted, has opened up a can of friggin' worms. It's like it's the biggest in the state's history. There's everything sealed. I don't know. I had to go down the Delphi. I wasn't even going to talk about Delphi today. Yeah, it's a thing. But I've been on here, what, an hour and 11 minutes, dear Lord. Well, it's been good, yeah. I'm going to get out of here. Maybe walk my dog. Eat some food. Y'all have a good weekend. Again, if you want to support the shit show, which is my podcast, Cash App, my handle is charliegreerpodcast. I appreciate it. Thank you, Tina. Bye to you too. Bye, everyone. Well, I love y'all. Be blessed. Cheers.